Sorry if this is a bit of a ramble, but I'm still in shock. My wife and I have been married for 11 years. We have a son, he's 9, and he goes to a local school. Until recently, I thought we had an ordinary, if not perfect, family. Work, home, a bit of routine, but who's immune to that? A few months ago, I started noticing oddities. My wife started staying late after work, citing girls' nights. Although she had never been into that before, she started putting on more makeup, even when she was just going to the store. But the main thing is that she started paying a lot of attention to our son's schoolwork. There were 7 meetings with teachers, and one person especially often popped up, his homeroom teacher, a man of about 40, athletic-looking, whom I had briefly met a couple of times. Everything changed one evening. I went to a parent-teacher meeting that had supposedly been cancelled, but I decided to stop by the school anyway. I forgot that my son had a jacket in his locker, and this is what I saw. My wife and this teacher were standing in the parking lot near his car, hugging and kissing. I stood behind a tree and just watched. I wanted to go up to him, to make a scene, but I froze. It felt like I was watching a movie where the main character was not me. Later, when I started digging deeper, it turned out that they had been having a Roman for almost 3 years. They met during school events. He even came to our house when I was not there. She said that he helps with my son's projects. I found correspondence on her old phone, which she accidentally left at home while she went grocery shopping. It was all their declarations of love, plans, even conversations about how it's hard for her to live with someone like me and how he gives her what I can't. Now I don't know what to do. We are still under the same roof. I pretend that I don't know anything, but inside, rage is boiling. I want to spill everything to her, to him, to the school principal. Catch him red-handed. But my son, he is not guilty of anything, and I don't want to ruin his childhood with one blow. What will you do in my place? Set the stage and catch him red-handed? Have a heart-to-heart talk? Or immediately file for divorce and show everything I know? After I found out the truth, I couldn't sleep normally for a week. Every time she smiled at me at dinner, asked how my day was, I was shaking. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw it in her face. You slept with him while I worked 3 jobs, so that we could have everything. But I decided to act coldly, quietly, without hysterics, because there was no more love in my soul. Only a thirst for justice remained. The plan was simple. I installed a couple of hidden cameras in the house, one in the living room, the other in the bedroom, where she obviously led him while I was away. I also put a recorder under her driver's seat in the car. I recorded everything from conversations to phone calls. And yes, I turned on the GPS tracker in her phone. I just installed the app while she was sleeping. I started collecting data. Over the course of 3 weeks, I had sent audio of her telling him, he doesn't suspect anything. He's as dumb as a brick. Sent video of them kissing in our bedroom while I was on a business trip. Sent messages where they discussed what would happen if he found out. And then one day I made my move. My wife said she was going to a drawing workshop with her friends, but I already knew where she was going. I got there earlier. It was a rented house on the outskirts of town, like a house for dates. I parked far away so she wouldn't see my car and just waited. 20 minutes later he drove up past his teacher. They went inside. I did too. Quietly, while they were in the bedroom, I locked the front door, set up the camera on a tripod in the hallway and knocked. What happened next I will never forget. They ran out, both half naked. I stood silently, a flash drive in my hand. I said, everything is here. Video, audio, screenshots. I have copies. If you try to turn the situation around in any way, I will send it to the school, to the students' parents, to the court, to the police, if necessary. You are a worthless person who slept with the mother of his student, and you are a traitor who destroyed a family. My wife started crying. He tried to say something like, maybe we should talk, like men. I just left. I am with my parents now. Filed for divorce. The lawyer says the chances of getting custody of the son are excellent. My wife asks me to start over from scratch. but I don't have one anymore. It burned. And you know what's most ironic? The teacher has already been fired. A letter from an anonymous source came with evidence. Now he's not only unemployed, but also under investigation. There's something about ethics and harassment. It turns out I wasn't the first. Morals? If you feel like you're being deceived, don't rush into emotions. Your cool head is more dangerous than their lies. It's been 2 weeks since I left her. I live separately, sleep peacefully. Sometimes I eat only dumplings. And you know what? It's better than eating with the person who lies to you. Yesterday we met. At her request, she said she wanted to sort things out humanely. I agreed. I took with me only a copy of the divorce and a cool head. She came in tears. Without makeup, stopped playing the role. She began right away. I was depressed. You didn't notice me. He listened to me when you were cold. I wanted to leave, but I was afraid of destroying the family. It all sounded like a poorly written TV series. I looked at her, and felt nothing. No pity, no anger, only indifference. And do you know what she said at the end? You were cruel. Cruel. Because I did not forgive. Because I didn't give her a second chance. Because I didn't work on the relationship like she now wants. Where was she when I was texting our son goodnight while I was alone in a hotel because I was on a business trip and she was in bed with another guy? Where were her feelings then? My son is the most important thing I have. I don't show him what's going on. He knows that my mother and I are temporarily living separately. I'll explain everything later, when I'm sure I can talk calmly. I decided to fight for full custody, not because I want to take him away from her, but because I want to protect him from lies, from constant pain. Her teacher, he lost everything, his job, his reputation, his respect. Rumor has it that he left town. Now she says it was a mistake. She doesn't need him. She was just vulnerable. And me, I just live, I breathe. And you know, that's a lot. When you've lived in the fog for so long, even a breath of fresh air is like freedom. After our final meeting, I was sure, that's it, the end. I wasn't going to come back. I had no illusions. I just wanted to put an end to it. But apparently my wife decided that if I played on her pity, she still had a chance. Because a couple of days later she sent me a message. I'm pregnant. I almost dropped the phone. It was like a slap in the face. Not from the pain, but from the absurdity. I knew that we hadn't slept together for 2 months. That meant, this wasn't my child, and she knew it, and she wrote anyway. I did a DNA test, without her knowledge, through a mutual friend. I found out which clinic she went to. The day was planned perfectly. I took a day off, found a way to intercept the sample. A long story, everything is legal, and a few days later I received confirmation. This is not my child. The funniest thing is that she had already started telling her son that he will have a brother, that mom and dad will decide everything. She thought that this would be her chance to keep me. But in fact, this was the nail in the coffin of the relationship. Conclusion, she lied until the very end. Even when she had no love, no respect, no support left, she chose another lie, to hold on, to manipulate, to save herself from the consequences. But I am no longer a savior. I am no longer that naive husband who believes in mistakes. Now I am a man who has seen everything, and I have lived through it. It has been 4 months since I left. I am building a new life. I work, see my son, go to therapy. Sometimes I even feel like I can smile again. And then one day, the doorbell rang. I opened it, and almost sat down right in the hallway. She was standing on the threshold, a very rounded belly. Her down jacket was unbuttoned. Her hair was in disarray. There was fear in her eyes. 7 months pregnant. He left, she said, not looking me in the eye. He just disappeared. He blocked me. I don't know where to go. I didn't say a word. I just stepped aside, letting her pass. She sat down on the couch, breathing heavily, and I stood and looked at the woman who had broken my heart, at the mother of my child, and at the person who now, perhaps, needs me more than ever. We talked for a long time, without shouting, without accusations. She told me everything, that the teacher, the child's father, had disappeared after he found out about the pregnancy. At first he was stalling, promising, then he disappeared. No support, No alimony. Nothing. She was left alone. Her parents turned away. Her friends were silent. I know I deserved all this. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just I don't know where to go. And then something happened that I didn't expect. I felt sorry for her. I haven't forgotten what she did. But I saw a broken man in front of me. And you know what's strange? Inside me, somewhere deep, there was still a drop of warmth. Not love. Not that old one, but something human, something that connects us not as husband and wife, but as people through whom fire has passed. What happened next? I didn't go back to her. We didn't reunite, but I offered her to stay for a couple of days, for the sake of the child, for safety. I helped her find a psychologist, made an appointment with the doctor, bought groceries, and most importantly, I told my son the truth, carefully, without anger, just as it is. He listened, asked, "Dad, do you still love her?" I thought, and answered honestly, "A part of me will always be, but sometimes loving means not being together." He nodded, and just hugged me. The end. He's not like in the movies, but he's real. Now she's living with a friend. We maintain minimal contact. I don't know what will happen next, but I chose not to take revenge, not to become embittered, but to become stronger and kinder, for my son, for myself. And you know, this is the most difficult, but the rightest choice in my life, because sometimes, love is not about coming back, it's about not breaking down, and I'm not broken anymore. 3 months have passed since that very evening when she came to me in her 7th month of pregnancy, abandoned, tearful, with a broken heart. A lot has happened during this time. I helped her, but not as a husband, as a person who still believes that children should not suffer because of the mistakes of adults. And now, she gave birth, a girl, small, quiet, with huge eyes, similar to her. She called me at the maternity hospital. I understand if you don't come, but if you want, you can see her. I went. I stood at the window of the ward, looked through the glass. And for the first time I felt something different. Not rage, not jealousy, not pain, but peace, because in front of me was not a symbol of betrayal, not the result of betrayal, but a little person who was not guilty of anything. She is just life that happened in chaos. And yes, I went in, I took her in my arms, and I felt like something huge had fallen off my shoulders, not in the sense of I am ready to become a father to this child, but in the sense of, I no longer live in the past. We talked again, calmly. She said, I don't expect anything from you. I just want you to know that I'm sorry, and thank you for everything you did when I was left alone. And I answered, I will never return to you as a husband, but as a person. I am here, for the sake of the children, for myself, without hatred. And it was not a performance, it was the truth. What next? I live my life. Sometimes I help with the baby, just so she doesn't burn out from loneliness. I met a woman with whom I feel calm. We are not in a hurry, but for the first time in a long time I am not afraid to trust again. She, learning to be a mother, making mistakes, crying, but it seems she has really changed, not for me, for herself. And maybe this is all we can get from the past, a lesson. Sometimes pain cannot be cured with revenge. It goes away when you yourself choose to live, and not to get stuck. P.S.